All right, guys, now that we have kind of taken a deep dive into how to generate the lead, we're going to be talking with Craig on kind of scripts, loose scripts, how to talk to the lead.
You say loose scripts?
Loose scripts,
Okay.
like not word for word. We don't need to say, you need to say this sentence exactly as it is, but mainly just talking points, questions to ask, how you go about talking to potential leads.
Hmm.
So we went over paid lead gen, cold lead gen, and organic lead generation. I think some of the most common ones are going to be meta ads, Google ads, cold calls for NODs, expireds, you name it. How to do outreach to your friends and family, newsletters, as well as open houses are the ones I have kind of written down. So
Yeah, the big thing is to not sound scripted, but it's important to have the knowledge behind you. So when you are talking to these people, what is it that you are talking about? Whether it be cold calling, there are tons of different cold call specialists out there that have their own version of their own scripts. So you can go on YouTube, you can listen to Kobe and I, but ultimately it's like listening to a few different people, making it your own, not so you sound like a scripted cold caller, but so you have the confidence behind you to articulate your message, right?
mhm.
And then be prepared to answer questions, be prepared to overcome objections, and have those objections, I guess, pre sorted in your mind. And so when it comes to getting comfortable doing this, it's repetition. So if you have the ability to have a teammate or a coach or a mentor or a spouse, just to go over and back and forth and get these down to where you feel comfortable discussing these things. I know it sounds strange at first, but the more you practice, the better you're going to be. So if you're cold calling, especially, you only have a split second to capture their attention. Um, uh, and that's going to be again the hook that you use, the icebreaker that you use, because no one wants to talk to you out of the gate. I mean, for real though,
Yeah,
very rarely they're going to answer the phone and be like, "Oh my God, thank you for calling me. Yes, I was just thinking about listing my house." Not really going to happen that way. So you have to be able to overcome objections, be okay with rejection. A lot easier to be rejected over the phone than it is door knocking and being told no to your face. But look at like these solar salesmen or these guys that go door to door, they crush it. So if you have the ability or the personality where you don't mind rejection, then by all means go for it. But the big thing is just practicing and knowing what to say, when to say it. And then again, the biggest thing then is handling the objections and yeah, just being good at being uncomfortable.
sweet.
That was is that you asked me?
Not really, a little
Okay,
bit.
go ahead.
I'm going to go through a handful of different, I guess, types of lead generation as well as like specifics.
Yes,
If you want to kind of not role play, but give me how you would approach the conversation.
100%.
Um, so starting with the easiest, with organic lead generation. So this is your friends and family. This is people you're going to be reaching out to. That would be your quote unquote A's within a
Mm.
CRM. So cousins, brothers, mothers, close friends. How do you go about talking to them about real estate to make sure they know you're a real estate agent without sounding salesy and without sounding like you're calling them to get something? Um,
Conversationally. And so your friends, for the most part, want to see you succeed or they want to help you. So if you're with that initial phone call or even stay in touch with an updated phone call, it's like, hey guys, just wanted to remind you guys that I am in real estate. If you have any friends or family that are looking to buy or sell that that you come across or someone in a conversation, I would love the referral, and I just really appreciate that. And just keep it as simple as that. You're not sounding salesy, but it's just that ask, the simple ask to remind them that hey, I'm in the business. Give me a chance, or have your coworker that's talking about buying a house or selling a house, give me a shot, throw my hat in the ring, and just ask for the business because most people do want to help you. And if you just can get past that hurdle of not sounding salesy or not wanting to sell to your family, your friends, that's they're going to be your biggest supporters. And so if you can get past that, that would be the easiest path forward, or at least to get started.
yeah, we have agents all the time come to us and say, "Oh, my cousin just sold their house," and they kind of talk to me about that they were thinking about it, and I just got too scared to like throw my hat in the ring. I think one of the biggest things is just putting yourself out there, saying, "Give me a shot. Let me do a listing presentation, even if it's your first time. Say, can I practice with you?" Act like it's the real thing, and you'll be
Yeah.
kind of surprised where it goes.
And offer value. A lot of times people are curious. They want to talk about real estate. So if you do know your stats and you know the market, you know the valuation of the property, just talk about that kind of stuff. Offer free value, and then give value. This is the Gary V's, the punch, 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 give or ask, whatever that book is called. Give, 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 and then kind of throw in the ask at the end. But really just provide value, be there as a resource. And then that way, when you do ask, you have laid that foundation of knowledge and confidence, and you are the right person for the job. So keep that in mind. Simple.
If you were a brand new agent and you were going about reaching out to friends and family for the first time, would you do it as an email, a text, a call,
Phone call.
social media,
Phone call.
and just say, "Hey, I just passed my real estate test.
Yep.
Super stoked."
Yep. So
how often do you call your A's?
Once a month, once a quarter, depending on what you are doing. Now, in our digital age, your digital footprint, your social medias, if you're comfortable being on video, doing your YouTube videos, getting your video content out on your socials, that's a huge part of it. And there's a lot of agents that just use social media to crush. A lot of agents just use YouTube. So find your niche, and that way you're going to obviously stay top of mind in that regard. But that phone is your best friend, whether it be a cold call or a cold lead or a warm call or a warm lead. You want to be able to talk to people. Our business at its core is all about relationships and communication. And so if you can get out from behind the phone and avoid that text or avoid that email and actually talk to them, that's your best bet. Having client parties. I was always big on having big events and having people come to my events and socializing. And yeah, you're going to spend some money, but guess what? You do a movie night for the kids, or you do a dinner event or a poker party or a casino night or something like that. Just have them, just throw a party. And it always comes back around to real estate. Now you just preface it by hey, I'm celebrating and thanking all of my friends and family for all the referrals. Please come join us for whatever that event is going to be for you, the wine mixer or whatever, right? So just throw that out there, have these parties, and throw real estate in the conversation. Never have that be like the sales pitch per se, but just conversationally speaking, you want to get out in front of your people as often as possible.
You mentioned kind of social media, YouTube, what have you?
Yeah, that's the toughest thing, man. So you follow me. It's kind of comical because I'm learning as I'm going. I've never had to use this approach in the past, so for me it's new, and it's quantity and mixed in with quality, right? So you want to have that consistency of posting, ideally daily, if not multiple times a day. And then the question then begs, what do you post? And that's, again, what I'm learning. There's a whole bunch of information about the algorithms and what you post and when to post it and blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is add value. And so if you want to become that area specialist, the area celebrity, the go-to, you're going to want to do the area tours, the local business spotlights. When you do the local business spotlights, you're not only having your engagement with your followers. Let's go and say Kobe owns a restaurant down the street, and I interview Kobe and I give him a little free promo video. I'm going to tag him as a collaborator and hopefully get his followers to look at my page and go, oh, this guy's, he's everywhere. He's the local guy to go to. And so, yeah, if you're able to get comfortable doing those types of things, give the area tours with a bit of substance as far as prices and new listings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and in one of the previous videos, we kind of take a deep dive into what to post on socials, how to post it, posting schedules. I think it's just one of the easiest ways to stay in front of your organic audience. If you're not somebody who's willing to pick up the phone, I think that's by far the number one thing you should do. But at least posting on socials, you won't really want to stay at top of mind. When somebody thinks, I need to sell my house, you should be the first person they think of. Or if one of their friends asks, oh, do you know any good real estate agents in Canyon Lake or in Carlsbad or wherever it is? You need to be the first person they think of.
And you still want to be, even in that regard, you're scripted to a certain extent. You want to be able to capture those, I guess now warmer leads. They're still cold to you, But if they're calling you, you spent the money, you spent the time making these videos and making all these ads and doing these things. Receive that call with a knowledge base to where you know what to say when they do call you, you know what they're looking for. Have they been talking to a lender and pre-qualified, blah, blah, blah. Know what to say and when to say it. And having these, I guess, be scripted or a buyer's script versus a seller's script. And I hate to use the word script, but know what to say to each individual lead.
Instead of, I guess, scripts, do you look at it more? There's certain questions I need answered before I'm willing to move forward with somebody. And
Yeah, yes and no. So I'm more old school conversational, bringing them into my friend group per se and talking to them like I would anybody else. I don't want to put that script in your head to where you have to go out and learn this stuff, but it's conversational questions, right? You know, bring up work, where are they working, know a little bit about who they are, what they can start to afford, you know, where are they comfortable? I mean, if you're looking for a house that's $1,000,000 and they can afford 700, you're wasting everyone's time, right? So kind of get these questions conversationally out of the way before you just, you know, bombard them with, hey, what's your credit score? You know, or how much do you make? Those are confrontational to a certain extent. You're going to get a little bit of pushback on that. But if you start bringing up, where are you comfortable with your payment? You know, what areas do you want to be in? What size house do you want? I mean, how many kids do you have? Do you need 4 bedrooms? Again, keep it conversational. And as you're conversing, you're knowing what questions you're trying to get answers to without being as blunt and salesy. That's why I kind of say scripts, but not necessarily scripts.
yeah, whenever we're talking to a potential client, especially if it's like a friend or family, I try to just understand their why. Like, why are they moving? Are they selling an investment property? Are they looking to get an extra 2,000 square feet in their property? Are they looking to downsize? Um, Leaving it almost vague at the beginning helps let them steer where it's going. And especially with friends and family, you don't want to be like, "What's your credit score? What's your monthly you're comfortable with?" That could cause awkward conversations. Instead of just, "Why do you want to move? Where do you want to move?" Sounds super super basic, but usually they're going to tell the story, and you could direct it from that point. Some of the other for paid lead gen, cold lead gen, open houses and such probably be a little bit more targeted. But I think with your organic kind of friends and family, just like you said, understanding their why. Why are they wanting to move? Where do they want to move? How soon do they want to move? Um, yeah.
Just
And
getting comfortable having the conversation, I guess, is the hardest part.
yeah. Um, for something like open houses, a little bit more cold, how do you typically go about them? If you probably haven't done one in a while, but
Make them warm. That's the thing about being able to communicate well, right? So it's the newer agents are having a hard time because they grew up on their cell phone, they grew up texting, and they not that they don't have the art of conversation, but they've lost the ability to just have a conversation, right? So if you can just talk, right? You were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Ask questions, listen more than you speak, get to know that person, read on this stuff. There's a ton of videos out there on conversations. Dale Carnegie, going back to old school, how to win friends, influence people. Read the old school gurus on this kind of stuff, mixed in with some new YouTube people. But bottom line is you're going to be asking questions, get to know them as a person before you really drill down on the sales part. And again, I use the word friends because ultimately most of my clients I deal with, I kind of bring them into my friend world because that's how I get my business is just word of mouth from my friends. And so I turn those friends into friends, and it's never a sales pitch. In that regard, it's always a conversation with some leading questions, I guess is a better way to put it.
Okay. I think one thing I don't know if you said it on this video or a different one, but just knowing your area, being the area specialist.
100%.
When somebody walks into, say, an open house, kind of guiding them, obviously, where are you coming from? Are you looking to move? Are you just looking in the area? What's your ideal timeline?
Sure.
How quickly would you want to move? If you found the perfect house tomorrow that would cause you to move, what would it look like? There's a million different questions you could ask.
That's a great approach, more direct than I usually go, but okay, and that works too. And that's different than my go-to, but getting more to the point might be the more efficient way to go about it. So that approach is good.
Just because one thing I feel like I have struggled with when I first started, balancing the direct question with trying to kind of play cool and allow somebody quote unquote into your friend group. You're gonna have people to walk into open house, and if you just say, "Hey, do you need any help?" They're gonna probably say no. They're gonna want to just look around. That's a buyer you might lose.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's not. You start the conversation with asking questions,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a conversation that you're having, not um, a sales pitch. And so when you're showing them around the house and you're talking to them
Yeah.
about the bathroom count or the bedroom count or the views, like where do you guys live now?
Mm-hmm.
What's bringing on this motivation to look at the properties? Are you guys having a kid? Are you guys downsizing, upsizing? That's all the same approach
Yeah.
conversationally and just less direct. Just knowing how to ask questions and how to listen and remember and by friend group, I'm not saying all my clients are my friends, but I'm treating them as
Mm-hmm.
if they are, right? And I'm not treating them as a client or a customer. I'm trying to talk to them like I would someone that I just met for the first time at a bar or at a party or whatever. I'm just trying to get to know them as a person. Um, so friend group, I don't know about that, but definitely more friendly than salesy is what I'm trying to say.
100%. Um, Open houses. Would you treat open houses more like an organic lead than necessarily like a cold lead as well, just because it is face to face, or like an online lead? Um,
You have a better approach at this than I do. So I'll let you speak on these points because you've said a few things about open houses that I really like. And as far as yes, conversational, and yes, you can lose these people if you aren't maybe as direct. But ask those questions. Has anybody taken the time to go through
mm-hmm.
this process with you? Have they sat down to go through the buying process, the loan process, whatever? And then what Kobe will talk about a little further is the sign-in sheet with allowing the drip campaign to
Mm-hmm.
then take place. And so my approach has always been less direct and not always maybe the best. Um, so there's probably a different personality for each or different tactics. And so I'll let you take the lead on what you do.
Yeah. So no matter what it is, if it's a cold lead, paid lead, open house, and organic, we really focus on what is going to differentiate us from another agent. If somebody comes into our open house, they're signing in, like I said, to that online sign-in sheet. They're automatically getting pushed into our CRM and going on the drip campaign. That drip campaign is really based around client programs and or showcasing how we are the area expert. So if it's somebody in North County, San Diego, they're going to go on probably a 12-month drip campaign talking about our bundle and save program, where if you use us to buy the house, you could save up to $15,000 just by using us and one of our loan officers. Or the next one's going to be a case study of how we use our seller incentive program to help save our client $5,000. Maybe we'll throw in some recent purchases that we've represented buyers on. Really going value focused on the emails and the texts. Uh, to kind of go back to the previous point, though, they're going to probably use you to start and or open these emails or text or answer your call based on your first impression with them. If they walked into the house and I said, "Hey, so do you have a buyer's agent yet? Are you pre-approved? Do you want to move in the next 30 days?" They're going to probably be turned away
Yeah,
and leave the
the
house.
guards up.
Versus just a little bit more organically. So what's bringing you to the area?
Yeah,
Are you
for
living
sure.
in the area? Um, by the end, kind of trying to get as many of those questions answered as possible, but in a more organic way. Somebody's going to come in an open house. They're probably going to spend 5, 10, 15 minutes in there versus a cold call
Mm-hmm.
that you have 5 seconds probably to either catch the
Yeah,
person.
for sure. Yeah.
So open houses, I would think, are a bit closer to your organic, your friends and family having a conversation, being face to face.
And two things, well, not two things to add to that. So the front end of an open house, I mean, there's um, a bunch of things that you guys can learn about open houses and then where to advertise, when to advertise, how many signs, what do you do? Can you do some games there? Like you guys have a sign-in sheet that goes, hey, guess the sales price. Closest to sales price is going to win a dinner at local restaurant or win something if you guys nail the price or whatever, right? So have these games that you can kind of also gauge some feedback on value of the house, like what they've seen, or you're asking questions. What have you seen in the area that compares to this? Um, and then kind of get their feedback on what because they're out looking around, right? So, I mean, you should as well know your competition, but it's nice to hear an outside perspective
Yeah.
on what they're actually seeing. But when it comes to open houses, there's a whole front piece to this that we can
Yeah.
go over maybe in a different video to promote the open house. And then obviously once you have that done, then you're talking to them, and then how you talk to them when they come into the open house, right? It's two different maybe conversations to have, but yeah, definitely being able to just kind of walk them through that process is probably the most important.
Yeah. We do raffles a lot. So we'll have like a tequila basket from a buddy of ours, tequila company. They'll either raffle tickets and or they'll just do the online sign in. And it's just like if you throw any information, you'll get entered in to win tequila. And
Sure.
everybody loves tequila. So
gimmicks, yeah, for sure.
So kind of moving on from the organic, from the open houses, cold outreach.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of agents are either reluctant to do so, they don't know how to do it. The big four, I would say, are like notice defaults, notice sales, expires, and FSBOs.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, I guess, structure a conversation and or try to get your foot in the door, knowing that person is probably getting 20 or 30 calls a day, a whole bunch of emails every day, texts every day? How would you stand out in the sea of agents when you're dealing with one of these cold outreaches? And how would you do it? Would you do calls, emails, texts?
Yep.
Walk me through that.
Yep. So your biggest ROI flat out will be door knocking, going face to face. And literally, if you have a new listing in, call it Marietta or wherever you're going to be, if you walk door to door in 30 homes in that vicinity saying, hey, I just listed a house on the street. We're going to be having an open house. Want to give you an invite, give them some piece of value. Maybe like, hey, if you wanted to do, if you guys need a free market analysis, let me know. Oh, by the way, when do you guys plan on moving? Face to face will be your biggest ROI. Second behind that will probably then be cold calling, which is difficult because if you are calling a notice default or notice a sale, they're losing their house. And so that conversation is going to be difficult. But with that being said, yes, there are scripts that are going to walk you through that process. For sale by owners are selling it by themselves because they don't want to pay those fees, but then you're going to show that they can probably make more money by using a realtor because they're going to be doing, you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to get them more money. Again, scripts to each of these different baskets, and understanding who it is that you're calling is a big piece of it, because there is the ultimate cold call, which is just literally picking up the phone and calling everybody in your city and just, hey, do you want to sell your house? No, screw you, click. And then there's the, hey, you have your house for sale by owner. Yeah, don't call me again. I don't want to use an agent, click. You have to be okay with being told no, because the more no's you get, the closer you are to the yes, right? There's a ratio. The better you get, the smaller the ratio gets. But again, scripting is going to be your best friend in this regard. So going from door knocking, highest ROI. Second to that is going to be cold calls, both of which are very difficult. And if you can get out of your own way, let you put your ego aside and be okay with being told no a bunch of times, those are the two top sources, especially for a new agent, that are going to generate leads and cheaply.
So you pick up the phone and you're going to call an expired or a notice of default. What do you say so you don't just sound like every other agent? So you get the agent that's willing to do that now.
Yes.
Pick up the phone and act like you're calling me, and I say, hello. What would you say to get me on the hook right away?
Yeah, and this is going to be, it's hard for me to answer that question directly because I've never really had to cold call, but there are a lot of different ways to, I guess, answer that question. And the biggest thing you have going for you, if it's you're the one making that phone call, you're not an ISA or some outside agency calling you that are just, they're robocalling. If you know that you're calling your area specifically, and it's not just a random call, and you know that you know the property, you know the former agent, you know the price, say, hey, I just noticed that your property came expired. You were listed at this price. What do you think why do you think it didn't sell? Or if you do have a buyer in this market, you want to talk about still possibly showing it. Would you be interested in showing your house if I had a buyer, or if you were able to get your
Mm-hmm.
price? Would you be open to at least considering an offer? Um, Again, there are a bunch of different scripts for expireds. They are getting a ton of calls. Standing out is the hardest part. What would I say? That's hard. That's hard because that is the hardest thing to answer, to tell you the truth. But again, it's more coming at this um, with questions, not that you're amazing, because every agent out there is amazing in their own mind. So don't be amazing. Come at them with questions and understand why they're selling, where they need to go, what their goals are. If you can get that far in the conversation, because most time you're going to get hung up on, right? So if you can get past that first initial, give me 30 seconds. I want to see if we're a good fit, or give me a minute to talk to you about what I have going on. If it works for you, great. If not, we're going to part ways and use me as a resource or whatever. Then you have the follow up to that, which is either a hand delivered CMA, or a drip email campaign, or a text campaign, or all the above. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do for whether it be FISBO, expireds, NODs. Now you're going to get the real pound sand, but again, they have to do something. So the NODs and those sales have to do something because they're going to
Mm-hmm.
lose their house. FISBOs and expires have already shown a want to sell their property, and so you have some sellers that want to do something or need to do something versus just straight cold calling, um, dropping seeds, right? So if you are farming an area and you're doing cold outreaches with emails, or old school print, or adding in cold calls, um, yeah, again, there's just so much to do in that regard. But ROI, it's just being able to talk to people.
Okay.
Again, I think I lost where your question was, but I think I answered it somewhere in there.
Um, yeah, and I guess something that I feel like Link's trying to do, and or every agent can go out and do, is develop their own unique value prop that's going to make them different from the other agents that are calling them. Um, we have talked about it on a couple different videos, but like our bundle and save program, the seller incentive escrow program, the highest price guaranteed cash offers, leading in with something that another agent can't offer. Because
Mm-hmm.
like you made the comment, every agent's amazing, and every agent's going to tout, oh, well, I've sold 20 houses in this area,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm so great because of my past sales. Um, if it's an expired, obviously something didn't go right originally. Maybe the house just sucks. Maybe it's overpriced.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the seller's unrealistic. We have seen the most success with notice defaults, with expires, with anything, leading with maybe a client program. Maybe
Sure.
saying,
Sure.
are you open to a
Sure.
cash offer? Can I send you a cash offer? It at
Yeah.
least gets the dialogue going. You could send that property to Link. We'll write a cash offer on it. It gets the foot in the door on an expired that's getting maybe 20 or 30 other calls from agents saying, can I relist your property? You're just coming in straight with a cash offer.
Well, this too. I mean, you got to know in our market now, wholesalers are um, a big piece, or now a big competitor of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Where sellers in the past that were expired or NODs, they were getting calls from a bunch of agents.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're getting calls from a bunch of wholesalers with cash offers, and I mean, they're getting so many calls now. It's nice to have something to offer them with an option, right? So
Yeah.
if you have this, if you're a one trick pony and you're just calling as an agent, you're hamstrung, right? If you're calling as a wholesaler only, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you call it with the link advantage of having a cash offer, the highest price guarantee, where here's your floor, the offer that we're willing to pay you, we're going to list it for the next 30, 60 days, try to get you more money, win-win for everybody. Awesome. If your houses need a repair and you guys need to move first, there's the buy before you sell program, and then you go ahead and buy your next house, rehab your house, trying to recoup all these costs because these are expensive programs. But you're giving this
Mm-hmm.
seller options as opposed to just being a one trick pony, and so that's what you're, I guess, getting at.
Yeah. What we will do is, if we're going through and doing, like, say, notice of defaults, our structure is a few texts up front. So usually a text day one, text day two, an email day two, calls day three. What we've found is if you're in our Go High Level account, you could see if they've opened and or clicked on the emails. You could see if they've opened or responded to obviously your text messages. Going in on that first phone call and saying, hey, this is Kobe. I've sent you a text or I sent you a couple emails about our cash offer program or about our highest price guaranteed program. Whether they've seen it or not, a lot of times they'll say, oh, yeah, like whatever it is. It gives you that 15 to 10-second window to really like pitch yourself. And if they say, oh, yeah, like what was it? You would say, we'll give you cash offer day one. We can list and market your property for up to 90 days. Make sure you get the highest price guaranteed, but with the confidence that you're going to have for sure close. That is what kind of opens the door for us, and really coming at it from text, call, and email, utilizing
100%.
all three. What we see a lot of new agents doing is going out and just using a Mojo dialer or using Red X or using whatever it is, cold calling, not really even being ready for that call, or if somebody answers and say, hello, who is this? And you try to kind of fumble around. Oh, my name is Kobe. I'm a local real estate agent in Carlsbad. Click, done.
Yeah.
So we will, in, I guess, attachments below this, have a couple scripts that we do loosely use, as well as some of the drip campaigns we use, text campaigns we use, just giving you guys overall structure of how we go about it. If you are a link agent, obviously just jump on with somebody from the CRM team and they'll help you build out those automations. We'll give you the list of people and whatnot. So that's kind of cold. I guess in wrapping, it's asking the questions that other people probably aren't asking and really nailing down. Yeah, genuinely asking it. And then coming up with your value prop. What are you going to offer that's different than the 30 other people that are calling them? And how are you going to say that in 5 or 10 seconds? And the good thing and the bad thing is there's a ton of leads out there if you're willing to call. So don't be discouraged when your first 100 you get hung up on. It's a trial and error game, I think.
And numbers game.
Yeah.
Trial and error for sure to get better at your scripts. And the more that you do this, the ratios will start to shrink in your favor.
Yeah, 100%. Last one that we discussed in the prior videos is paid lead gen. So to me, this is kind of the in-between cold outreach and your organic. You have Meta and you have Google. We talked about the difference with Meta being less intent. The client has less intent. You're getting them at probably $10 to $15 per lead. Google, a little bit more search intent, probably around the $50 to $100 mark. How would you go about calling a lead? Do you do it exactly the same way as you would with an organic person and say, hey, you clicked on my home valuation ad, or you clicked on my find a list homes in Carlsbad under $2 million, and really just try to portray yourself as area expert, friend, and your unique value prop? Or do you treat lead gen leads, like paid lead gen, any different than the other two?
Same. So you have your pay-per-click and you have your pay-per-lead, right? So no matter what source you're spending your money on, they're expensive. So when you do get that person on the phone, you want to keep them on as long as possible, or at least get a meeting set as fast as possible, right? So either getting out the phone and saying, hey, I have the ability to stop by this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon between this and that time, what works for you. Getting a face-to-face meeting is the most important thing that you guys can do on that initial phone call, buyer or seller. You want to meet them, right? So if it's a paid lead gen versus cold or whatever, it's the same approach for me. It's trying to understand their wants, their needs, their why, like you said earlier. Get to know who they are, why they're selling. And then that way, when you go to meet with them, you know what you're up against or what you're trying to accomplish, right? So if you just try to stay away from aggressive sales. And again, you can listen to Andy Elliott or you listen to some of these more hardcore sales trainers. They're a little different.
Yeah.
You know, they may be showing you how to sell cars or sell solar or, you know, it's a more of an aggressive approach. And there might be some of that works better than my approach. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure there's different approaches that work better than my approach as well. But my approach has always been trying to speak to them like a human, right? And be more conversational than salesy. And so that might be the wrong approach in some situations because you're going to get hung up on. Whereas if you're the Andy Elliott hardcore drive it home car salesman and that works for you, then that's cool too, right? So you fit your scripts into your personality, fit your responses to who you are
Mm-hmm.
and what your goals are, right? If you're just in this thing to, blow and go and you're making 100 phone calls, cool. Do you. But ultimately, when you're trying to do this, I try to take the approach of more of a one-on-one approach as opposed to a one-on-many approach. And that might be the wrong approach. But that's been what's worked for me in the past. Whereas you listen to a different coach or, you see them all the time on Instagram or on all these ads about just driving it home, sales, 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 sales. That's cool too. It's not how I operate, but that, not saying it's the wrong way. So,
Sweet. If you just kind of wrap up this, if you were a brand new agent starting day one, this is kind of the last module. We went through what social media is to set up, what online presence to have, how to input your database, the difference between paid lead gen, organic lead gen, cold outreach. Is there any, I guess, departing thoughts you have for an agent, how to get started once they're done with this 21-day challenge, whether they have a mentor or not have a mentor? Last piece of advice for agents.
confidence, and you get confidence from from knowledge, right? So if you're able to go out and know your market, know some stats, whether it be days on market, whether it be price per square foot, different markets have different price per square foot based off location. Canyon Lake especially, custom areas are difficult, but know your market, know your stuff, be the professional in the conversation. Know when they're asking you questions, you have the answer. Go out and do your homework. Look at properties that have recently sold. Look at properties that are currently in escrow. Have your hot sheet open, and then go look at properties and they're newly listed. Say you have a buyer for this property, but you're going to preview it first. Get out and know your market first and foremost. Be the professional that you need to be to gain this business, because the more knowledge you have, the more confident you're going to be. And that obviously comes from experience as well. But ultimately, if you don't have the experience, at least walk the walk and do what you guys need to do to build that knowledge base. Knowledge builds confidence.
Sweet. All right. Like I said, we will have a ton of PDFs, some other YouTube links to watch for some great scripts and training calls that we've seen in the past that work well for us. Yeah. See you guys in the next video.